Good morning and welcome to the April 9th, 2025 Economic Development and Housing Subcommittee meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I will first turn to our City Attorney, David, to explain public comment.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. Citizen comment session. During citizen comment, members of the public may address the subcommittee for up to 3 minutes on issues of interest or concern to them. The open meeting law permits the subcommittee members to listen to the comments, but prohibits members from discussing or acting on matters presented to them. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. And then I will ask that our interpreter, Elsie Duarte, introduce herself.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Buenos días, mi nombre es Elsie Duarte. Estaré interpretándoles a nuestra audiencia de habla hispana durante esta sesión de desarrollo económico y vivienda. Las personas que pasen al frente para hacer su comentario podrán hablar libremente sin interrupciones durante el tiempo disponible. Sus comentarios serán interpretados al momento que usted termine de hablar. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We don't have any members of the public to speak at this time, so we will go to item 1, which is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Items 2 and 3 are for information only. Do members have any questions? Wonderful. So item 4 is our Phoenix Public Library's 2025 Summer Reading Program, and today we have with us Erin McFarland and Wendy Resnick to tell us about these programs. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. The library's summer reading program kicks off May 1st and ends on August 1st. This year's theme is Color Our World. I'm excited to introduce Wendy Resnick, who will provide additional information about this year's program.
Thank you, Erin. Good morning, Vice Mayor O'Brien and fellow council members. I am so happy to be here to talk about what is really the most iconic of library programs. Summer reading has been going strong in Phoenix for more than 50 years. And really, it's about stopping the summer slide. Studies have shown that students can lose the equivalent of 2 to 4 months of learning in the summer, particularly in math and reading. They start the next school year behind, and the effects are cumulative. And make no mistake, our students are struggling. On average, only 30% of third graders in Phoenix public schools are proficient readers, and in some districts, it's less than 20%. Literacy is one of the most critical civil rights issues of this generation, because as Cesar Chavez said, you cannot uneducate the person who has learned to read. The summer reading game is structured around the recommendation that school-age kids read at least 20 minutes a day. So each minute of reading counts as 1 point, and the goal is 1,000 points. The game is open to all ages, and we especially encourage caregivers to sign up with their children to set a good example. And of course, the program is available in English and Spanish. Last summer, more than 24,000 Phoenicians participated in summer reading. We will start actively promoting this in the community at the end of the month and continue through May. One of our partners, for example, this year is the Boys and Girls Club, which will be running the program in all of their Phoenix centers. Our goal is to keep kids reading, but we also want them engaged and having fun and have a good reason to come to the library every week. So we run a ton of free programs, everything from arts and crafts to African dance troupes. The arts and crafts programs pictured here are particularly popular with all age groups, from young children to teens to adults. And you know, the library is one of the few free educational and air-conditioned outings for families when it gets to be 115 degrees. And that's why our door count is typically up by 15% in the summer months. STEM programming is a huge focus of our youth programs. Our animal programs are particularly popular with younger kids, snakes, birds, small animals. We've even had a baby alligator in the library. We often partner with the Arizona Science Center to bring in hands-on science programs. The young scientist pictured on the left here was learning about forensic science, so maybe a possible recruit for the police lab someday. And where else can the whole family listen to a jazz concert one week and learn Bollywood dancing the next week? Cultural programs are very popular with our families. In addition to Bollywood dancing, this year we'll have K-pop and hip-hop, as well as the ballet. So we really try to emphasize the interactive programs. And we realize that many of our families cannot afford exciting vacations or expensive summer camps. So it's really important to us to offer these free enrichment opportunities because they expand background knowledge, they build vocabulary, they encourage scientific thinking, and they create cultural awareness, and all of these things support literacy. Our summer is incredibly busy, and we couldn't manage without our teen volunteers. We recruit and train more than 150 teens every summer to help with programs, and I think this is one of the most important things we offer to teens. For most of them, it's their first work experience, and we take that very seriously. They need to apply online through the Phoenix Volunteer Portal. They need to do an interview, and they get significant customer service training. Applications went up April 1st for youth ages 13 to 17, and as of today, 7 libraries are filled, and there are 10 that are still accepting applications. It's a very popular program. Interested teens can go to phoenixpubliclibrary.org, click on the Teen Volunteer tile to start the application process. So registration begins May 1st online at phoenixpubliclibrary.org or at maricopacountyreads.org. The game begins June 1st and ends August 1st. I hope you will all sign up and encourage your friends and family to play along. Thank you. Any questions?
Wonderful. Do I have questions or comments from my colleagues?
Just a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate this program. Both my kids went through this program, and my daughter, now in her 30s, is still an avid reader, and she really attributes it a lot to Phoenix Public Libraries.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Councilwoman?
Thank you so much, Chair. I just wanted to say I am a fan of these types of programs. As a self-proclaimed nerd, I enjoyed many a summers reading in the library myself. I'm hoping that this year we will see more than 20, I'm going to put it out there, like 27,000 sign up to participate in our summer reading program because it does have lifelong impact. So thank you both, Erin and Wendy, for a great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to thank you for the presentation. It is incredible. I think it is appropriate, although accidental, I'm going to admit, that this is National Library Week. We are in the middle of National Library Week, and earlier this week I was able to start the week by visiting the two libraries in my district to thank all of those that work there and took my 2-year-old granddaughter. So I learned a couple of things, and I love the library. I, like my colleagues, spent a lot of time there, especially in the summer. And although students today don't quite realize it, that's where we had to do all of our research. No Google. That young people, our youngest readers, can get a library card. So my 2-year-old granddaughter has her own library card. But additionally, there is a library reading program, 1,000 books by kindergarten, which was really an impressive program. I had no idea that that was a program, but I was very happy to meet Stephen, who will be almost 3 and is at 940 books already. He visits every week with his grandmother. So thank you for that program because it's so instrumental for our kids to learn to read while they're young and be ready to use reading to learn when they hit 3rd grade. But the role of libraries in our communities is so paramount, so thank you for that. And then I just want to touch on one other thing that I knew about but I had forgotten, is the cultural passes that we have available for free for families to be able to get into some of the great places here in Phoenix, like the Arizona Science Center, Desert Botanical Garden, maybe not when it's 115, but maybe right now. So thank you for all the programs and all that you do for young and old readers alike. We appreciate it. So good luck with this year's game.
Thank you so much.
All right, next on our agenda, we will talk about Mental Health Awareness Month, and for that, we will hear from Jacqueline Edwards, our Human Services Director. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Chair and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to share information regarding Mental Health Awareness Month, which takes place in May. Mental Health Awareness Month was first established in the United States in 1949. The purpose was to increase awareness about mental health impacts on overall health and wellness, and to provide mental health resources to support individuals and the community. The reason it is so important to bring awareness to mental health and to provide resources to support those who may be struggling is because the impacts are far-reaching throughout the United States and here in the city of Phoenix. Specifically, 20% or 1 in 5 adults in the United States experience mental illness each year. Then, according to the Maricopa County Community Health Needs Assessment, the top 2 health issues that Phoenix residents say impact themselves and/or their family members are anxiety and depression. Furthermore, 58% of Phoenix residents surveyed said that they have difficulty accessing mental health care in our community. This is why it is critical to share with our residents information and resources regarding mental health and wellness. The idea to promote Mental Health Awareness Month came from the 17-member city manager-appointed Community Mental Health, Wellness, Public Health, and Safety Task Force. These are subject matter experts in academia and professionals in the behavioral health and social services areas. The task force determined the guiding principles for Mental Health Awareness Month should be: 1, to educate to end stigma around mental health, and to provide connections to both mental health and wellness resources for all different members of our community. Based on these guiding principles, various activities are now planned throughout the month of May. Firstly, we plan to create a basic awareness for mental health by lighting City Hall green for the entire month of May. In addition, both city staff and community members are encouraged to wear green on May 6th. For available council members and city staff, we will have a photo that same day on the first floor of City Hall for those wearing green to show their support for mental health awareness. We have also launched a city website dedicated to mental health awareness, and that is www.phoenix.gov/mental health matters. The website provides information to connect to 988 or 211 for resource support. Additionally, it hosts a calendar of events specifically focused on activities that support mental health and wellness events occurring throughout the month of May in the city of Phoenix. We will highlight both city-specific activities as well as those from community agencies. Community agencies can submit their activities for the calendar by clicking on the link on our website. A social media campaign will also be occurring throughout the month of May, which features a city-specific logo and slogan created, Phoenix Mental Health Matters. In addition, we will utilize the Federal Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration Toolkit for Mental Health Awareness Month, which has messages that focus on different members of our own community here in Phoenix. Through the Human Services Department's social media accounts, we will be sharing 30 days of mental health and wellness facts. A city-specific social media toolkit has been created by the city's communications office and has now been shared with all city council offices. Our signature activity for Mental Health Awareness Month is the city-sponsored Community Resource Fair. It is taking place at the Travis L. Williams Family Services Center on May 8th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. City departments as well as community agencies will have booths here to provide resources to residents. During this event, we will be focused on connecting our residents with both critical mental health and wellness information. Since our city staff are important to us, the city's Human Resources Department has organized activities to ensure connection to mental health and wellness education. In partnership with city vendors, they are hosting these virtual brown bag events. On May 7th, Hobbies for Mental and Physical Health. May 14th, Mental Health Awareness for Leaders in the Workplace. On May 21st, another mental health awareness webinar, and on May 28th, an additional mental health awareness webinar. I want to thank the Community Mental Health, Wellness, Public Health, and Safety Task Force members who are listed here on this slide, who have guided and shaped what will be our first Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Phoenix. Their participation and expertise in this area is greatly appreciated. And committee members, Mental Health Awareness Month would also not be possible if it were not for the collaboration amongst all these city departments that make up the mental health multidisciplinary team, as well as the leadership and guidance from the city manager's office, specifically from Deputy City Manager Ginger Spencer and Deputy City Manager Gina Montez. We look forward to working with council offices as we expand Mental Health Awareness Month programming in the future. Vice Mayor and council members, I greatly appreciate the time today to highlight our activities for the city's first Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Members, any questions or comments? Councilwoman?
I just wanted to say really thank you, and it's very important that we're highlighting mental health. We saw following the pandemic a surge of individuals, not just Phoenicians, really becoming more attuned to some of the demands of life and how that affects their mental health. And I just wanted to say I think this is a much needed program. And quick shameless plug, we actually have our offices having our health and wellness fair this weekend, and actually one of our sessions is about the emotional health because that's one of the areas that we have heard more information is needed on. So thank you for leading that. And I want to say thank you as well to the task force members for helping us to guide the direction. We do know that the stigma of seeking assistance for mental health is one of the reasons many people do not seek the help they need. So thank you for them for highlighting the direction that we need to go. So just thank you.
Thank you as well, and congratulations on what will be the first Mental Health Awareness Month in Phoenix, and to many, many more. So I appreciate you coming to the committee and sharing this very important information. And best of luck, Jacqueline. All right, our next item is our Urban Street Activation Development Codes and Retail Vacancy Rates. And for this item, we will have Deputy City Manager Alan Stevenson, Planning and Development Director Josh Bednarik, Community and Economic Development Director Christine Mackey, and Deputy Community and Economic Development Director Zandon Keating. Thank you all for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of the subcommittee. This item is provide a background overview of our form-based code, which is a zoning tool that really looks at what's happening at the ground floor pedestrian level and how those have been implemented since the city first adopted them and evolved over time, and then going into a discussion about the retail vacancy rates within those areas and corridors around downtown and light rail. With that, I will first turn over to Josh, and he will go through a few slides, and then he'll turn over to Zandon and Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I'm excited to talk to you about mixed-use development and form-based code in Phoenix. The goal is to highlight why, where, and how we have moved to form-based codes in parts of our city and give a snapshot of some of the investment that has occurred in these areas. Phoenix is close to 530 square miles in size, and its development pattern has been the result of a variety of factors, one of which has been the utilization of a traditional zoning framework that emphasizes the separation of uses. Phoenix, like most cities, has dozens of zoning districts, each with their own set of development standards and permitted uses. Phoenix's commercial zoning districts, displayed in red on both the graphic and the map, have been concentrated along the city's arterial street system, evidenced in the red patterns on the map. Form-based codes focus more on the design of the building, specifically with how the buildings interface with the public realm, like public streets, and encourage a mixture of uses in the same building. Form-based codes create enhanced interfaces with the public realm through frontages, which offer a variety of options for our development partners to choose from. Frontages are meant to provide both physical and visual connections to both the public sidewalk and active uses on the ground floor and shade. Frontages do not require commercial uses on the ground floor, only active uses. In the preceding slides, I'll provide a quick review of different frontage types in Phoenix. As Alan mentioned, Phoenix has two form-based codes. The Downtown Phoenix Code, adopted in 2010, which provided an entirely new zoning framework for downtown, and the Walkable Urban Code, which can be applied for through the rezoning process in Phoenix's 9 transit-oriented communities. I'm going to quickly highlight the frontage types examples available for development in Phoenix. Exciting thing is that all the examples of frontages I'm going to highlight are in Phoenix. There was a time when we were doing these types of presentations where we had to look at other cities, but I'm proud to say Phoenix is now home to a growing list of projects with frontages that promote activity, safety, and comfort. Up on the screen is the stoop door rail frontage, defined by an elevated living space coupled with a short staircase that connects directly to the sidewalk. The porch frontage, which is very similar to stoop door well but does not always have stairs, this could be used for both residential and commercial uses. Common entry, the defining element is a focused point of entry into the building as opposed to individual unit entrances. Great example just north of City Hall at the Hyatt Place Hotel. Next up is storefront. This is probably one of the most common frontage types chosen by our development partners. As its name states, it really set up to encourage commercial uses on the ground floor. One of the requirements is that 75% of the frontage be made up of transparent windows to encourage visual connectivity with the street. If the developer chooses this frontage, but for a variety of reasons can't have it occupied by commercial uses, that's when you'll see something like a workout area, gym, or common amenity space installed on the ground floor of the mixed-use project. The next two frontages are very similar. The first is a gallery where you'll have the streetscape defined by a structured shade and landscaping. This is a great example in Kierland Commons. The next is an arcade where the shade and overhead coverage are provided by an extension of the building itself. This is an example in downtown Phoenix. One of the last frontages we'll highlight is forecourt, where the main building is set back to allow for the creation of a large public space in the front. We have not seen this option chosen yet, but there's a great example in Roosevelt Row with the chapel highlighted in the photo on the screen. Just a quick rundown of other common frontage types: active front yard, grand entry, recessed display, and patio. Just a quick recap of frontages in action. So for a site in the downtown code at 3rd Street and Willetta, as an example, the developer finds the character area the project is located in and then the adjacent streets. Frontage menus change based on the streets. In this case, Willetta is allowed all frontage types, and 3rd Street is allowed stoop doorwell, gallery arcade, porch, patio, or storefront. The developer in this case picked both porch frontages for Willetta and 3rd Street. While downtown has developed under a form-based code since 2010, the transit-oriented communities north, south, east, and west of downtown have seen development using the Walkable Urban Code, most notably the Midtown and Uptown districts. In Midtown, 38 rezoning cases to the Walkable Urban Code have been approved, with 24 of those cases being built or under construction. In Uptown, we have seen 25 cases approved, and 18 of those projects are either built or under construction. I'll now turn to Deputy Director in the Community Economic Development Department, Zanin Keating, to highlight what we are seeing from a vacancy rate for mixed-use buildings in downtown and some of our transit-oriented communities. Zanin.
Thank you, Josh. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. So staff looked at, did an analysis of mixed-use buildings within 3 areas, downtown, midtown, and Eastlake. We found there were 48 buildings in the downtown area, which is approximately 566,000 square feet of space, of retail space, with about a 10% vacancy within that area. Midtown, we found a total of 7 buildings that fit the criteria with about 74,000 square feet between them, and a little bit higher of a vacancy rate in Midtown at about 32%. And then finally in Eastlake, we found there's 1 building that has a ground floor commercial space in a mixed use building. That building is at 12th Street between Washington and Jefferson. It is 100% vacant, only 33,000 square feet, but there are no tenants there currently.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I think as you look at these numbers, a couple of important things to note. We did only look at mixed-use buildings. So if you look at Uptown Plaza as an example, it's a ground floor, single-story retail development. It's meant to be a shopping center. We didn't go in and count those vacancies. Park Central in the areas, as you know, that single-story was always designed to be what it is. Just wanted to provide that perspective to you. Arizona Center, while the 2 high-rises are part of the Arizona Center, the retailer really is just ground floor standard retail. So our discussion today, as we look to move forward, I just wanted to provide that point that point to you that it doesn't include all the retail. We could of course run a full retail analysis for you, but for our discussion purposes today, it is the ground floor of a mixed-use building that you see in vacancy in front of you today. I think a couple of other things in downtown, just as we have this discussion this morning, developers typically start building at a 10% vacancy. A 10% is thought to be a very healthy vacancy rate. So they'll start building new in any discipline, whether it's industrial or office or retail, when they see a 10% vacancy with tenants that want to move in. And to Mr. Keating's point, in Eastlake, it is a single building that is relatively new, that just has right on light rail, that hasn't seen that right retailer come into there yet. But we are working with several of the property owners in Eastlake moving forward that are going to kind of extend that downtown up Jefferson and Washington and be able to more thoroughly and deeply activate the Eastlake area in the transit-oriented development sectors. Oh, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I guess I had the closing. Everybody's looking at me. I'm like, what? My goodness gravy, what did I forget? Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I think I'll leave you with one last point as we have this conversation, and it is Economic Development 101. It's what we all learn when we first start in this industry, is retail follows rooftops. And I think the reason that you've not seen some of the retailers come into these central city markets in these more dense urban areas is our rooftops are just getting there. Our counts are just getting to the point where you can demand more of the retail, you can demand more of that activation. So as we look at opportunities to move forward, Carla Scott on our team is working diligently with a number of larger retailers and being able to bring some of those destination retailers back into downtown. For those of you that are from here, everyone will remember Arizona Center was kind of ahead of its time in the 1990s. It had, if I forgot my shoes at home when I came to work, I could buy shoes, I could buy clothes, I could go to Bath and Body Works, I could go to any number of retailers, but those all closed down. There wasn't enough a nighttime population to be able to accommodate for those. And I would argue now we've really moved into an 18-hour population with 58,000 people who work, 176,000 people in the trade area we have identified for you here. We now have 30,000 people who live in downtown Phoenix, and then 300,000 conventioneers and 1 million people coming in to our sports facilities. So thought that those might be some helpful numbers for you as we answer your questions today.
Councilwoman Stark.
Thanks. I actually appreciate this presentation because I think we've been so focused on everything on the ground floor needs to be retail, and it doesn't. Really, the presentation, Josh, that you gave showed that there's other ways that we can activate the bottom floor. I'm going to use that term, bottom floor. I know that people think it should all be commercial, but it just can't. Even with all the rooftops that we are building, I don't think we can sustain it. I think it really is about having that lively atmosphere when you're walking in the downtown area and the midtown area. And so I'm glad that you're looking at urban form and looking at ways to develop that bottom floor, again, for lack of a better term, because I think it really is about that safety as you're walking down the street. And I know that we've had residents come in and they've actually have said, why aren't we getting enough retail? And I think it's because, one, we're still building the rooftops, but two, it's really about activation. And so I think looking at the way we develop really makes a difference. And I really like all the visual that you had, Josh. That really says a lot and speaks volumes about how we're trying to assess the way we build and design our buildings. So thank you.
Madam Chair, Councilman Stark, if I could address your question, we would wholeheartedly agree with you as your economic development team. I would argue we have one of the best teams in the Southwest. If I'm a little proud of our team that's here, and there simply is too much. If it was pure commercial that could go into these areas, we just can't fill enough of the space if it's pure commercial. But I think it's also important as we continue to grow that that space is there and able to move and morph and graduate into that space. I'll give you an example. If something is a workout facility today, 20 years from now, it may be a perfect place for a Target City. It might be a perfect place for a new retailer or a Ace Hardware or a something that we need. So having the space available in some of the areas, because I agree wholeheartedly with you, activating the ground floor space and having people sitting on their patios and their stoops as you walk by. The Wood Partners project on 7th Street's a perfect example. When you drive by, people are out, they're engaged, but there's no retail on the ground, but you feel like you're going by something really activated and exciting. So we completely agree with you that the time isn't right for that much retail.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I do agree we need to be flexible too in the design so that as we grow rooftops that we have that flexibility to bring in more commercial. But I just don't think it's realistic that everything on the ground floor is going to be commercial. But we do need to make sure that it's a safe environment and that pedestrians feel comfortable walking in Midtown in the downtown area. Thank you. This is a great presentation. You know, I'm a planning geek, so I love it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Stark. Councilwoman Hodge Washington.
Thank you, Chair. I specifically, of course, what piqued my interest was the vacancy rate in Eastlake, which is in District 8. And what I gathered from your presentation, you anticipated many of my questions, but what I gathered from your presentation, if there's anything else you want to add, please let me know, is primarily what we're seeing is there's not enough rooftops in that vicinity to warrant the level of activation that we anticipate in that area. And I just wanted to know if there's anything else we think we can be doing to ensure that we move towards progress in reducing the vacancy rate in that area.
Madam Chair, Councilman Stark, absolutely. So we are moving forward with, and as you well know, you're helping us lead the charge on moving forward with a number of new residential projects, dense residential projects in that area. And that will be what activates that site. But I would agree with you, and I think Councilwoman Stark said a mouthful when she said people have to feel comfortable walking to those areas. They have to feel that it's activated. And this project is just a little bit to the east of 7th Street, but 7th Street feels like such a wide forbidden area to cross over if you're at, if you're at Science Center or if you're at the Diamondbacks or a Suns game or something. So I think in the interim, other things we could be doing, and I think your question piques a couple things in my head for Zandon and Alan and Josh and I to talk about together is in advance of the 2 or 3 years until that residential is built, how do we make commercial viable there that people feel really comfortable walking to a really hip jazz nightclub or a really cool coffee shop or something, just, 3,000 square feet is small. It's really 2 retailers. And how would we set that up but we've got fire that's right over there and our great fire admin bringing them some more destination restaurants and things. So I'll tell you what, I think what I would say is the 4 of us, I think what you've said is really important. And then what the councilwoman said is critical. Let the 4 of us get together. I think there are things we could be doing on the early stage level as opposed to looking at the later stage level. So with your permission, we'll get together and come back to you with a couple of ideas.
You know I would love that. Thank you so much for the presentation, everyone. It was very informative, and I appreciate knowing the data on where we stand. I think there has been a misconception that all of our ground floor activation is only done in retail, and I think this is helpful for individuals to realize that mixed use really does mean mixed use. So thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could provide one small point for the group. As you see, the Midtown vacancy rate is our highest. And so as you look at that, I think what's important to note as we look at solutions, and Deputy City Manager Stevenson and I have been working on this together for about a decade now. Those buildings weren't built the way that they're built in downtown Phoenix. The ground floor retail in those high-rise buildings was built more to serve the tenants that were in that building, a coffee shop, a dry cleaner, a gift card store, a sundry shop. They weren't built to match out to the streetscape. So Mr. Stevenson and I, for about a decade, have been working with those building owners to create a path where you feel comfortable walking from Central Avenue into the buildings and into those things. So while the vacancy rate is much higher in Midtown, and it made me think of it for providing you that point of interest, is when Councilman just spoke about Eastlake, is that we are working to come up with solutions to make pedestrians feel comfortable walking into some of those high rises. Some of their entries are on the back side of the building. So you're gonna walk from all the way over to First Street before you can turn and come into the building. So we've been working on that together.
Vice Mayor, I think one other thing I would add to that as it relates to Midtown vacancy, as we see that area evolve and some of the retail uses that are standalone buildings and pads, those get redeveloped into high-rise mixed-use development. Those commercial uses are going to need homes to go and move into then. So you'll have that evolution of the retail that isn't counted here towards that 33%, but it's a retail use that others they're finding in that same area, but it's in a single story building. So when that building goes away, we'll be able to have that commercial locate in some of the retail, some of the mixed-use projects as ground floor retail in those areas as well. And that's part of the kind of natural evolution of an urban area that tends to happen over time.
Thank you very much. So I was very curious about this subject because some folks had said to me that it was required that the ground floor be retail or commercial. And so, Josh, just if you would clear up for the record, is that a requirement when we have one of these buildings?
Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, no. As I attempted to highlight in the presentation, we have a variety of different, close to a dozen frontage types, and there's also one thing I didn't highlight in the presentation. You can actually propose your own alternative frontage type. And so we know that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. We want to be as flexible as possible. Again, I think the constant that we're looking for is activity and connectivity, connectivity, and safety at all of the frontage types. And again, we have an option where a developer could propose something completely unique as long as it's meeting those 3 criteria.
Wonderful. And so, as Chris, you mentioned, a community gym or maybe a leasing office could be on the ground floor to start with the potential. The land, that space becomes much valuable as more rooftops come in, correct?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, that is correct.
Okay. And then what kind of density in a specific community would call for a non-residential use or activation?
Madam Chair, could you repeat the question one more time?
What kind of density in a specific community do you think would actually help with getting that non-residential activation on the first floor?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, if you look across the nation, you typically in an area will see 36 square feet of retail per capita. And so you tend to use those numbers. In Arizona, we're a little bit higher. We're 54 square feet per capita of retail as you look at those numbers. As you look in urban downtowns, I don't know the exact number for an urban downtown as to what you see in the amount of retail as it starts to come in, but I would argue it's blended somewhere between the 36 square feet, which is taking into account rural communities, all the way up to the 54 square feet, which is the highest in the country that we see in this area. If you look at something like Chicago or in New York, you're more at 200 or 300 square feet per capita, just because it's such a dense area, so many people. Where we have 100, as I said, 176,000 people who come to work every day. There are more than 1 million that go into, call it Manhattan. There are millions that go into that area. So I think those are really, really good numbers that we can use. That's based on a national retail study that was completed in as we look at, are we getting over retailed, are we under retailed?
Okay, and then you talked about some other data that I'm sure other cities have it, but for us, right, we have the convention center, we have the Suns and the Diamondbacks and many concerts. And so is any of that taken into account, do you know, by businesses when they decide whether or not this is a good retail place or not?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, absolutely. Deputy City Manager Chan can address it well, but in our most recent convention, sports, and leisure study that we had done, to your exact point, we were faulted because we don't have the retailers, we don't have the commercial, we don't have as much many restaurants as those conventioneers are looking for. So that study did take into account, though right now we're at 300,000 conventioneers, but 700,000 other participants who activate that building on a constant basis. I do a lot of trade shows for the city, and I'll take advantage when the trade show's over at nighttime and I go walk around, I'll go look and see what others are doing and what other retail is around it. And almost always it is significant amounts of retail that you can walk to right around the convention center, because what they're looking for is a captive audience. The retailers are looking for, where is that captive audience coming to that I can sell to? So for our sports teams, for our concerts, I get down here early for a Suns game or a Diamondbacks game or a Billy Joel concert, and I go walk around. I'm here all the time, and I still walk around downtown and go shopping and look at things that as an employee I don't have time to do during a business day, but as a citizen at night I do. And so I think to your point, there are significant amounts, and we can get you that information out of the convention, sports, and leisure, and working with our retailers for that number. We don't have the exact number, but it was called as a fault of ours in the most recent study that we had completed in regards to our convention center and our hotels.
And what steps do we need to take, or how do we help you to get those folks to want to come down here and start their businesses or expand their businesses into our downtown so we can turn that into a positive?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, you've taken the first step. The City Council very, very thoughtfully moved forward an entertainment district study that will, I joke with everyone, I believe we've got the whole six-pack. We're just missing the little plastic thingy that pulls it all together. And that little plastic thingy that pulls it all together lets us really set that placemaking and highlight everything that's going on. The City Council has done such amazing work in providing staff guidance and direction to get people living in downtown again. Our employees are back following the pandemic. We're seeing great density in our workforce again. So I think as we complete the entertainment district study, as you know, we're moving forward with the downtown redevelopment study, the downtown strategic plan again under Mr. Bednarik's leadership, moving forward with that. I think as council, as we wrap those plans up, it will be time for a full court press on the retailers that have been identified by our citizens as wanting to be here.
Wonderful.
Vice Mayor, if I can just add to that, on the formal agenda today, you have adoption of the downtown redevelopment plan that the Community Economic Development Department led with Planning and Development Department input in it. And then you have the downtown code text amendment that Josh has been leading with the downtown community stakeholders to really go back and update the downtown code and look at where changes were needed now that we've had a lot of development. As Josh mentioned, pictures are all from things that we've seen in urban development versus prior experience. And so that text amendment on the agenda today will make it easier for development projects to happen and go forward, because it's addressing some of the concerns that either were shortcomings or things that were too prescriptive and didn't work, and through evolution of time are now getting built into the code and saying this is a better way to do that. And so those are two great examples. As Chris mentioned, the leadership that the mayor and council had over the last few years, and that's led to these couple of items coming forward even today, and then the other ones she's talking about for the future.
Well, and I appreciate you. Thank you for that reminder, and I appreciate all the work that you all have done. And in bringing this, I hope we can use this data, especially for Midtown, when developers are bringing us projects to get them to really activate that space, even if it is in a space we in a way we might not want right now, in that community gym or leasing office, but knowing that as we build, they will come, right? If you build it, they will come. So thank you again for this information and this very thoughtful presentation. Downtown looks wonderful. I've been here my whole life, and I remember the old days, so it is really beautiful. So I appreciate all the work everybody's done. Thank you. All right, our item 7 is our Phoenix Tool Bank partnership, and we have Deputy City Manager Alan Stevenson. We have Deputy Neighborhood Services Director Yvette Roeder, Neighborhood Services Program Manager Greg Gonzalez, and the Executive Director from Phoenix Tool Bank, Jana Ferraro. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of the subcommittee. Today here to discuss and hopefully get support for an exciting partnership with the Phoenix Tool Bank that will take neighborhood cleanups and tool lending that NSD has done to the next level. And with that, I will turn the presentation over to Yvette Roeder to give us some background, and the rest of the team will present, and we'll be happy to answer questions. Thank you.
All right, good morning, Chairwoman O'Brien and members of the subcommittee. NSD's tool lending program for many years has been a useful resource for our neighborhood and block watch groups. There is no cost to join the program, and the only eligibility requirement is for our neighborhood group to be listed with neighborhood services. Our program's mission is to make tools and equipment accessible to neighborhood groups for their cleanups and projects. Neighborhood groups can borrow 16 types of tools, such as rakes, shovels, head shears, ladders, wheelbarrows, to remove debris and trim overgrown vegetation. The only catch is that they pick up and drop off the tools at the agreed upon date and time. Our tool lending program is located in the Graffiti Busters warehouse near 35th Avenue and Thomas Road, and currently that is the only location tools can be picked up and dropped off. Today, we've invited Jana Ferraro, Executive Director of Tool Bank Phoenix, to tell you more about what their organization offers to nonprofits.
Good morning, Chairwoman O'Brien and members of the subcommittee. My name is Jana Ferraro, and I'm the Executive Director of the Phoenix Tool Bank. The Phoenix Tool Bank is a locally based nonprofit and is an affiliate of Tool Bank USA that serves community-based organizations by providing tools, equipment, and expertise to empower their most ambitious goals. Phoenix Tool Bank's vision is to equip all communities with tools for change to generate high-yield community impact. We are excited to share that Phoenix Tool Bank will be celebrating its 10th anniversary at the end of this month, thanks in part to a highly efficient board of directors comprised of 12 community leaders, from national sponsors to local companies such as Jokaki Construction, the Home Depot, Stanley Black & Decker, and Busing. Phoenix Tool Bank has an inventory of over 550 tool and equipment types, from drills, chainsaws, and shovels to tables and chairs, for a total inventory of nearly 35,000 items available to our community organizations, nonprofits, schools, and municipalities. Our members, after registering their organization through our tool order management system, can place their orders online. This affords us the ability to collect relative information on their project, as well as confirm inventory availability. After an order is placed, we confirm pickup time and prepare the tools for their deployment from our current location near 36th Street and Broadway Road. We clean and maintain tools in-house or through our corporate partnerships. Member organizations pay a small weekly lending fee that is and funding is used to maintain equipment such as replacing blades, string for weed eaters, oil, etc. Much of our inventory has been donated by our national and local partners and even our member agencies or by a secured grant restricted funding. Over the past 10 years, the tools we have provided the community have played a role in many great projects throughout the City of Phoenix that have positively impacted your districts. In 2024 alone, we loaned over 52,000 items to neighborhood associations, nonprofits, schools, and community groups. Also in 2024, Phoenix Tool Bank registered 144 new members, several of them Phoenix neighborhood associations. We are happy to report that we have saved our nonprofit members more than $3 million last year alone. While our team is very proud of our impact what we have accomplished, we believe that Phoenix Tool Bank still has the capacity to expand its reach, serve more people, and enhance more community initiatives. A partnership with the City of Phoenix would allow for increased visibility for our organization, helping to attract more volunteers, donors, and corporate engagement. Now I would like to introduce Greg Gonzalez, NSD Program Manager, to talk about the terms of the agreement and the benefits of this partnership brings.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you, Jana. Neighborhood Services and the Phoenix Tool Bank are excited for the opportunity to merge our tool lending efforts for the residents of Phoenix. Our tool lending programs share similar missions and goals, making a partnership the logical next step to grow an important community resource. In this partnership, the City of Phoenix will transition our inventory over to Phoenix Tool Bank, who will take on the responsibility of managing and maintaining the equipment. Neighborhood and block watch groups listed with NSD will still be able to borrow those tools at no cost. This benefit will continue. They will gain access to Phoenix Tool Bank's more than 500 types of tools and equipment available at very affordable rates. The reservation process will be streamlined by using the Phoenix Tool Bank's online system, a huge improvement over our very manual current process. And finally, we will make minor modifications to our Graffiti Busters warehouse to accommodate the Tool Bank's broader inventory. This partnership brings a number of benefits to neighborhoods. With Phoenix Tool Bank taking over NSD's tool lending operation, the Phoenix community will have access to a more robust program available at 2 locations. And as I already mentioned, reserving the tools will be even easier. Neighborhoods can take advantage of cost savings, particularly on special event equipment. For example, a round table that would cost $12 from other equipment rental companies is only $5.50 from the tool bank. A plastic foldable chair that normally costs $2 only costs 86 cents. As neighborhood groups start planning their game events and fall holiday parties, the affordable rates on special event equipment will help stretch their budgets much further. Neighborhoods will also benefit from the expertise and guidance from tool bank staff to ensure they have the right tools for the job. More than just a tool lending program, this partnership fosters connections between nonprofits, volunteers, and neighborhood projects, expanding and diversifying networks and possibilities. I will now turn it back over to Yvette Roeder.
All right, thank you, Greg and Jana. Thank you, Jana, for being open to this partnership between the City of Phoenix and Phoenix Tool Bank. We really think that this simple agreement, where no money will be changing hands, will be a game changer for our neighborhood groups. So with that, staff requests the Economic Development and Housing Subcommittee support for a partnership with Phoenix Tool Bank. Thank you very much, and we'll take any questions.
Thank you. Councilwoman Stark.
I'm just curious, will we see any cost benefits to this, cost saving?
Absolutely. Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, we certainly will see some cost savings, and hopefully we can do an analysis. And the good news is that we're now using Tool Bank's tool ordering management system, where they can actually compile some data for us and actually tell us, which neighborhood associations are frequently using the system and what they are actually renting.
That's terrific. I know I have a lot of neighborhoods that take advantage of the tool lending program, and this is just going to make it even better. So I really appreciate this, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Stark. Councilwoman Hodge-Washington.
I will briefly say thank you. I love the partnership that has been established. I know it's been supported by many of our neighborhood associations as well as nonprofits. And I think you allow the neighborhood associations and block watches now to have access to materials they don't have to independently purchase and store. And I know that some of the funding issues that they do request from block watch, for example, is for storage. So now it's all consolidated in one location that makes more sense, it's more cost effective. So I'm in true support of this partnership. And I love the fact that it provides access to resources to all different types of organizations that otherwise may not have access. So you have my full support.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hodge Washington. I too am thankful for this partnership and look forward to it. I appreciate you coming to be with us, Jana, this morning. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Vice Mayor, members of the subcommittee, I could real quick, I just want to thank Greg Gonzalez, who really brought this idea forward, and having discussions with Jana on some community projects before. He's the one that championed this idea and brought it forward, so I wanted to recognize him for that.
Well, thank you, Greg, for doing that. It is important when staff sees a great opportunity for the city to do better by our citizens. So thank you for doing that and all your hard work. Now I will entertain a motion to approve.
I will move to approve, and I agree, we have a great employee in Greg.
Wonderful.
I second all of it, including a great employee in Greg.
Well, I'm going to third it because I don't want to be left out. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to moving on to the next step. Thank you for being with us today. All right, our next item for discussion and possible action is the GPEC amendment, and for that we have the Christine Mackey show, I was going to say. We say it so often. Christine Mackey, our Community Economic Development Director, Brian Smith, our Economic Development Program Manager, and Thomas Maynard, GPEC's SVP Business Development. Thank you for joining us.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, also joining us here today is Tim Borsett. He is the Vice President of Government and Community Affairs for the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. It is my pleasure to be with you here today as the City Council considers the annual contract for the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. GPEC has been our tremendous partner since 1989 as we market the metropolitan Phoenix area, but as we lovingly tell them, only Phoenix, and had the pleasure of working with them. They are a tremendous partner to us here in Phoenix, and as Mr. Smith goes through the items, you'll see why we have such fondness for the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. With that, I will turn it over to Brian, and he will walk through this last year's, actually is Thomas Maynard, I lied to you. Thomas Maynard will walk through, for our audience, our viewing audience who might not know them, what GPEC is and what it does, and then he'll turn it back over to Brian.
Thank you, Chris. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, thank you so much for having us today. For a quick reminder, GPEC, Greater Phoenix Economic Council, as Chris mentioned, has been around since 1989, and we are the regional economic development entity that services the entire Greater Phoenix metropolitan area. We are formally made up of 22 cities and towns, and what's important to note is our funding comes from about a third of our funding comes from those 22 cities and 2 counties that make up GPEC, and we're able to leverage that to raise the remaining of our budget. 2/3 comes from now 220, mostly private sector investors. And they are members of GPEC to help us further our mission, which is to attract and grow quality businesses into the Greater Phoenix area and to advocate for the competitiveness of the region as a whole. And I'll turn it over to Brian Smith to talk about specifically some of that activity in the city of Phoenix. Brian.
Thank you, Thomas. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I'll start with looking at the impact of GPEC's work this fiscal year, both at the regional level and on the city of Phoenix. This fiscal year through February so far, they have created more than 2,700 jobs, 436 of which have located in the city of Phoenix. Their work has generated more than $1 billion in capital investment. Approximately $250 million of that has come to the city of Phoenix and they're creating extremely high-quality jobs in the city of Phoenix with an average wage of $108,000, contributing to increased household incomes throughout the city. I should also note that these numbers do not include some of the higher profile headline generating announcements that have recently come to the city. Taking a look at the past 5 years of regional results, they have helped 215 businesses locate in Greater Phoenix, of which approximately a third have located in City of Phoenix proper. They've created over 12,000 jobs, 2/3 of which are considered to be within the high wage bracket, and creating $36 billion of capital investment within the region. Now, the City of Phoenix benefits from these projects not just through the direct impacts, which have created more than 21,000 jobs across the region in the past 5 years. We also see fiscal benefits from regional locates, which create spending across their supply chain and also increased household spending that transcends municipal borders. Putting a face and a name on our locates here in the city this fiscal year, we see represented a number of headquarters as well as advanced technology operations and ongoing foreign direct investment here in the City of Phoenix. Taking a look forward at leads generated by Thomas's team at GPEC, we see continued strong industrial demand, especially from large users, and positive signs for the office sector turnaround in the City of Phoenix, which I will dig into a little bit more. So looking at the office sector specifically for the City of Phoenix, we're seeing improving vacancy rates from recent historic highs in this asset class. We see headquarters buoying the market sector with large footprints absorbing space. One example of this is the former CenturyLink Tower, recently acquired by U-Haul in Midtown. As you can see here, last calendar year, this sector was the second strongest by sales volume, representing a 47% year-over-year increase. And we see continued demand for small or flexible spaces and ready-to-occupy suites. So what does this mean for the City of Phoenix? The past 5 years, we've seen a direct fiscal return on investment of $149 for every dollar that the city has spent. That is totaled $600 million in city revenues and $3.86 billion in total economic activity. And I will turn it back over to our director, Chris Mackey, to take us home.
Madam Chair, what we like to call this slide is our money shot. For every dollar that we spend with GPEC, they return $149 to the City of Phoenix. I think, as Mr. Smith said, what's important to note is some of the most recent large announcements that have happened in Phoenix haven't been captured yet. We don't count them until they break ground. So it's not high because you typically see, we regularly see these numbers with the City of Phoenix. For their annual contract for fiscal year 25-26, we are asking to allow our funding request for $831,362. That is an even program with us for what we've done with them for the past number of years. Our contract with GPEC is 48 cents per capita, and that's for every city across the region. That's not specific to Phoenix. Any city who's a member of GPEC, we're all on an even playing field and an even board of 48 cents per capita. So where we see our contract go up, it's simply because our population has increased in each individual city. So with that, Madam Chair, staff does recommend recommend approval to the full City Council for the contract for the Greater Phoenix Economic Council for fiscal year 25-26. And with that, we're happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you both for joining us. Are there any questions or comments for this panel? Well, if not, then I'm going to go cut right to the chase and say I'll take a motion to approve.
I will move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. You are on to the next step. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Appreciate you coming. I'm going to do one last check to see if we have any call to the public. We do not. Do we have any future agenda item requests? Yes, ma'am.
At the last the last committee meeting, we talked about having an update on the tenant assistance program, and I just wanted to note that that is currently for the agenda set for May.
Yes, ma'am. It is scheduled for May at this time.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, then, seeing no further business, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
Comfortable just trying it out or participating, or it might be that one-time event that creates a deadline for something you've been wanting to do for a while, whether it be interview or refresh your resume. We've learned that by bringing city services out in our community, we can engage so many more people. This mobile career unit is a great partnership with Bloomberg Philanthropies. Christina will talk further about this, but perhaps the most prestigious competition among mayors globally, not just the United States, but globally, is the Bloomberg Mayors Challenge. And so we had the chance to submit what we thought was our single best idea in the city, one that could help so many other cities. And incredibly competitive process, but the mobile career unit won among the world's leading global cities. And so a really big moment for us. So many of my peers, mayors from around the world, have asked me how we did it and have wanted to replicate it, which is really exciting. The beautiful thing about mayors is we are very happy to take ideas from other communities, but it's a real point of pride for me that something so important to workforce has come out of the city of Phoenix. The results have been powerful. Hundreds of people have already gotten jobs just with our first pilot unit, and now we have the beautiful Made in America vehicle behind us. If you haven't seen it yet, it is gorgeous with interview terminals. You can do in-person interviews, resume workshops, or video interviews. On the pilot, I got to do a video interview with Renaissance Hotels